Hi y'all, it's Jamie with Color Flutter Creations, and today I am feeling a bit hopeful. So I am going to be using this Pixie Dust Designs You Are the Light of the World die. And looking at this die set, I was just reminded that the smallest light can completely change a dark space. And sometimes that's exactly what creativity does for me. It doesn't solve everything, but it does help me see just a little bit further. I'm beginning this project with an A2 size white card panel, and I'm going to be doing some very rough ink blending. So I have some distress inks in a dark blue, a dark purple, very dark purple, and a lighter purple, as well as a pink color. So I'm going to be creating a halo effect on the center of my card panel. And this is supposed to be kind of a night sky. So I add in a little bit of black ink just around the edges, and this is going to kind of help darken things up and kind of bring it, I guess, to be a little bit more moody. All of the inks I've used are water reactive, so I'm adding some drops of water, trying to get some pretty big drops there, and then picking that up with a paper towel, just kind of bleach out some of the ink, which I think has a really cool effect to my night sky. I have some Dr. PH Martin's Bleed Proof White, and this paint is kind of thick. So I use a paintbrush. I'm going to put a little bit of it onto my glass mat, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water to kind of dilute it. This is a wonderful product if you haven't used it before. While the ink is water reactive, this paint, for whatever reason, does not absorb the ink. So this is the product I use to add splatters onto card panels such like this, which have that water reactive type ink. I'm using some gold-ish paste through a spotlight burst stencil. And this solar paste is really creamy. And what I mean by gold-ish is, as you see, it's kind of white, but when you actually tilt it in the light, it does have a gold effect. I didn't want just a gold paste on this. I really wanted there to be primarily white against the dark. I wanted it just to be a little bit lighter. So I'm adding that paste all through, going in multiple directions based on how this stencil is actually built. I can put the rest of that back in the jar because there was no ink transfer. Now, when this actually does dry, because the paste has some water in it and the ink is water reactive, it actually does absorb some of the ink color, which I am completely fine with. It does it in a way that it's not blotchy, it doesn't look weird, and it's really primarily the pinks and purples that kind of bleed a little bit into the paste. You'll see later on. But in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and die cut all of our elements, and I'm just running it through my Platinum 6 die cutting machine. While this set does include florals and some leaves and vine, I did not want to use that for this card because I don't know. I've never seen florals out and in space. Have you? I mean, maybe there's plants. I know they grow plants in outer space. Anyway, whatever. I digress. So this lantern, I really wanted it to be the focal point in just the lantern and the light burst. So that's why I'm not using the florals in this project. Now, this little piece that I'm putting on the top is actually the hardest piece to put on in the entire set, but it does go right at the top there, and then you can start layering the other pieces. So I found it easiest to start at the very top of the lantern and then work my way down. I also wanted to keep my lantern, I don't know, kind of dark. Again, this whole card is kind of dark and moody, just like me. So there we go. I'm not really a dark person. I'm not really, yes, I am moody. I'm very moody. I'm just not that dark of a person. I usually have a lot more light. Anywho's, so I'm working on all of the embellished pieces for our lantern. So I've got the top, I've got the brackets on the side, I've got now the base that the bulb would skirt into, as well as the knob that would make the lantern light glow brighter or dimmer. And then, of course, that base piece. So this is the light bulb, and I cut this out of some glitter cardstock because I wanted it to be the brightest piece on of course, the lantern. That's why I went darker. I think that's what I was trying to say. That's why I went darker. But I just stick that kind of right in the middle and make sure it is not tilted to one side or another. And then I have my completed lantern, which I think looks absolutely fabulous. I then put the sentiment into my Misty stamping tool, and I'm going to use some black obsidian ink to stamp this onto white cardstock. Now, the sentiment that comes with the set says, "You are the light of the world," which is Matthew 5:14. I use some clear embossing powder over my sentiment, and then I'm going to use my Wow Heat tool on the second setting, which is the hottest, and I'm going to melt that wonderful embossing powder. It's like magic. I cut down my sentiment before taking a corner punch and adding some decorative elements to each of the corners of my sentiment. I can then put my elements onto my card panel once my paste, of course, is dry. So I added the foam adhesive to the back of the lantern because I wanted that to pop up. I'm going to leave my sentiment flat because I really wanted the lantern, again, to be the focal point of this card and kind of radiating that light and giving this, I don't know, embodiment, I guess, of this card that there's hope through darkness, there's light through darkness. I don't know. You get where I'm going with this, I hope. Pun completely intended with the mood of this card. So I am using some liquid adhesive just on the back of that sentiment, and I'm placing that right below the lantern, and that is flat. No foam to pop this up like I normally would do, but not today. And here is the completed card. And you can see the gold when I turn it. You can see the gold of that paste, but you can also see where some of that pink and purple really did bleed into it, which I ain't mad at. Let me know in the comments how you enjoyed this card and what was your favorite element. The Pixie Dust Designs You Are the Light of the World die with that fabulous lantern. Is it the stencil set with these fabulous 3 bursts? And we use the middle size of this trio. The Golden Hour Solar Paste that makes that fabulous gold shine without being too gold. The Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, which we added the splatters. What was your favorite element of today's project? If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help my channel grow, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you for crafting along with me today. Be sure to stay tuned for more crafty fun in the future. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for supporting me by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this video.